Hello and welcome to Shakespeare 2020 LA. Shakespeare 2020 LA is the Los Angeles division of Shakespeare Project 2020, a worldwide challenge created by Ian Desher to read the entire Shakespeare canon in 2020. Our reading today is Troilus and Cressida, and our players are Jason Rennie, Christopher Carbo, Taylor Marr, Sasha Venn, Megan Wells, Ron Dorn, Chris Klein, Richard Conley, Susan Collegian, Jay Hirsch, Emily Vassilos, Sarah Davenport, Caitlin McCormick, Logan Chase, Benjamin Birmingham, and I'm Mary Carrick. Troilus and Cressida was written in 1602. It's described as one of Shakespeare's problem plays. It ends on a very bleak note with the death of the noble Trojan hero Hector and the destruction of the love between Troilus and Cressida. There's not a record of its performance before 1898, but since World War II, it scarcely left the stage. Shakespeare was surely influenced by Euripides in several versions of the play. They were floating around the Elizabethan collective in translations and many adapted versions. From Euripides' point of view, the Trojan War was an expense of spirit in a waste of shame. No vow goes unbroken, and the play is summed up by a scheming, pox-ridden hypocrite. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a short trip to Troy and all its cast of characters. William Shakespeare's Troilus and Cressida.
In Troy there lies the scene. From isles of Greece the princes Orgulus, their high blood chafed, have to the port of Athens sent their ships fraught with the ministers and instruments of cruel war. 69 that wore the crownets regal from the Athenian bay put forth toward Phrygia, and their vow is made to ransack Troy, within whose strong immures the ravished Helen, Menelaus' queen, with wanton Paris sleeps. And that's the quarrel. To Tenedos they come, and the deep-drawing barks do there disgorge their warlike fraughtage. Now on Dardan plains the fresh and yet unbruised Greeks do pitch their brave pavilions. Priam's six-gated city, Dardan and Timbria, Helios, Chaetos, Troyan, and Antinorides, with massy staples and corresponsive and fulfilling bolts, spar up the sons of Troy. Now expectation, tickling skittish spirits on one and other side, Trojan and Greek, sets all on hazard. And hither am I come, a prologue armed, but not in confidence of author's pen or actor's voice, but suited in like conditions as our argument, to tell you, fair beholders, that our play leaps o'er the vaunt and firstlings of these broils, beginning in the middle, starting thence away to what may be digested in a play. Like, or find fault, do as your pleasures are. Now, good or bad, 'tis but the chance of war.
Act 1, Scene 1. Troy, the Palace Ilium. Enter Pandarus and Troilus.
Call here, my varlet. I'll unarm again. Why should I war without the walls of Troy, that find such cruel battle here within? Each Trojan that is master of his heart, let him to field. Troilus, alas, hath none.
Will this gear ne'er be mended?
The Greeks are strong and skillful to their strength, fierce to their skill, and to their fierceness valiant. But I am weaker than a woman's tear, tamer than sleep, fonder than ignorance, less valiant than the virgin in the night, and skillless as unpracticed infancy.
Well, I have told you enough of this. For my part, I'll not meddle nor make any farther. He that will have a cake out of the wheat must tarry the grinding.
Have I not tarried?
Aye, the grinding, but you must tarry the bolting.
Have I not tarried?
Aye, the bolting, but you must tarry the leavening.
Still have I tarried.
Aye, to the leavening, but here's yet in the word hereafter the kneading, the making of the cake, the heating of the oven, and the baking. Nay, you must stay the cooling too, or you may chance burn your lips.
Patience herself, what goddess e'er she be, doth lesser blench at sufferance than I do. At Priam's royal table do I sit, and when fair Cressida comes into my thoughts, so traitor, when she comes, when is she thence?
Well, she looked yesternight fairer than ever I saw her look, or any woman else.
I was about to tell thee, when my heart, as wedged with a sigh, would rive in twain, lest Hector or my father should perceive me, I have, as when the sun doth light a scorn, buried this sigh in wrinkle of a smile. But sorrow that is couched in seeming gladness is like the mirth fate turns to sudden sadness.
And her hair were not somewhat darker than Helen's. Well, to go, there were no more comparison between the women. But for my part, she is my kinswoman. I would not, as they term it, praise her, but I would someday have heard her talk yesterday as I did. I will not dispraise your sister Cassandra's wit, but...
Pandarus, I tell thee, Pandarus, when I do tell thee there my hopes lie drowned, reply not in how many fathoms deep they lie indrenched. I tell thee I am mad in Cressida's love. Thou answerest, she is fair. Poorest in the open ulcer of my heart, her eyes, her hair, her cheek, her gait, her voice. Handiest in thy discourse, oh, that her hand, in whose comparison all whites are ink, writing their own reproach, to whose soft seizure the signet's down is harsh, and spirit of sense hard as the palm of plowman. This thou tell'st me, as true thou tell'st me, when I say I love her. But saying thus, instead of oil and balm, thou layest in every gash that love hath given me the knife that made it.
I speak no more than the truth.
Thou dost not speak so much.
Faith, I'll not meddle in it. Let her be as she is. If she be fair, 'tis the better for her. And she be not, she has the men's in her own hands.
Good Pandarus. How now, Pandarus?
I have had my labor for my travail, ill thought on of her, and ill thought on of you, gone between and between, but small thanks for my labor.
What, art thou angry, Pandarus? What, with me?
Because she's kin to me. Therefore, she's not so fair as Helen, and she were not kin to me, she would be as fair a Friday as Helen is on Sunday. But what care I? I care not if she were a blackamoor. 'Tis all one to me.
Say I she is not fair?
I do not care whether you do or no. She's a fool to stay behind her father. Let her to the Greeks, and so I'll tell her the next time I see her. For my part, I'll meddle nor make no more in the matter.
Pandarus.
Not I.
Sweet Pandarus.
Pray you speak no more to me. I will leave all as I have found it. There's an end.
Peace, you ungracious clamors! Peace, rude sounds! Fools on both sides! Helen must needs be fair when with your blood you daily paint her thus. I cannot fight upon this argument. It is too starved a subject for my sword. But Pandarus, oh gods, how do you plague me? I cannot come to Cressida but by Pandar, and he's as tetchy to be wooed to woo as she is stubborn chaste against all suit. Tell me, Apollo, for thy Daphne's love, what Cressida is, what Pandar, and what we. Her bed is India, there she lies, a pearl. Between our Ilium and where she resides, let it be called the wild and wandering flood, ourself the mergent, and this sailing Pandar, our doubtful hope, our convoy, and our bark.
How now, Prince Troilus? But wherefore not afield?
Because not there. This woman's answer sorts, for womanish it is to be from thence. What news, Aeneas, from the field today?
That Paris is returned home and hurt.
By whom, Aeneas?
Troilus, by Menelaus.
Let Paris bleed. 'Tis but a scar to scorn. Paris is gored with Menelaus' horn.
Hark, what good sport is out of town today?
Better at home, if would I might or may. But to the sport abroad. Are you bound thither?
In all swift haste?
Come, go we then together.
Act 1, Scene 2. A terrace in Troy. Enter Cressida and her man, Alexander.
Who were those went by?
Queen Hecuba and Helen,
And whither go they?
up to the eastern tower, whose height commands as subject all the vale to see the battle. Hector, whose patience is as a fixed virtue, today was moved. He chid Andromache and struck his armorer, and, like as there were husbandry and war, before the sun rose he was harnessed light, and to the field goes he, where every flower did as a prophet weep what it foresaw in Hector's wrath.
What was his cause of anger?
The noise goes this: there is among the Greeks a lord of Trojan blood, nephew to Hector. They call him Ajax.
Good, and what of him?
They say he is a very man per se and stands alone.
So do all men, unless they are drunk, sick, or have no legs.
This man, lady, hath robbed many beasts of their particular additions. He is valiant as the lion, churlish as the bear, slow as the elephant, a man into whom nature hath so crowded humors that his valor is crushed into folly, his folly sauced with discretion. There is no man hath a virtue that he hath not a glimpse of, nor any man an attaint, but he carries some stain of it. He is melancholy without cause and merry against the hair. He hath the joints of everything, but everything so out of joint that he is a gouty Briareus. Many hands and no use, or purblind Argus, all eyes and no sight.
But how should this man that makes me smile make Hector angry?
They say he yesterday coped Hector in the battle and struck him down. The disdain and shame whereof hath ever since kept Hector fasting and waking.
Who comes here?
Madam, your uncle Pandarus,
Hector's a gallant man.
as may be in the world, lady.
What's that? What's that?
Oh, good morrow, Uncle Pandarus.
A good morrow, cousin Cressid. What do you talk of? A good morrow, Alexander. How do you, cousin? Were you at Ilium?
This morning, Uncle.
What were you talking of when I came? Was Hector armed and gone ere you came to Ilium? Helen was not up, was she?
Hector was gone, but Helen was not up.
Even so, Hector was stirring early.
That were we talking of, and of his anger.
Was he angry?
So he says here.
Oh, true, he was so. I know the cause, too. He'll lay about him today, I can tell them that. And there's Troilus will not come far behind him. Let them take heed of Troilus, I can tell them that, too.
What, is he angry too?
Who, Troilus? Troilus is the better man of the two.
Oh, Jupiter, there's no comparison.
What, not between Troilus and Hector? Do you know a man if you see him?
Aye, if I ever saw him before and knew him.
Well, I say, Troilus is Troilus.
Then you say, as I say, for I'm sure he's not Hector.
No, nor Hector is not Troilus in some degree.
'Tis just to each of them, he is himself.
Himself, alas, poor Troilus, I would he were.
So he is.
Condition I had gone barefoot to India.
He is not Hector.
Himself. No, he's not himself. Would he were himself. Well, the gods above. Time must friend or end. Well, Troilus, well, I would my heart were in her body. No, Hector is not a better man than Troilus.
Excuse me.
He is elder.
Pardon me, pardon me.
The others not come to it. You shall tell me another tale when the others come to it. Hector shall not have his wit this year.
Oh, he shall not need it if he have his own.
Nor his qualities.
No matter.
Nor his beauty.
It would not become him, his own's better.
You have no judgment, niece. Helen herself swore the other day that Troilus for a brown favor, for so 'tis, I must confess, not brown neither.
No, but brown.
Faith, to say truth, brown and not brown.
To say the truth, true and not true.
She praised his complexion above Paris's.
Why, Paris hath color enough.
So he has.
Then Troilus should have too much. If she praised him above, his complexion is higher than his. He having color enough, and the other higher, is too flaming a praise for a good complexion. I had as lief Helen's golden tongue had commended Troilus for its copper nose.
I swear to you, I think Helen loves him better than Paris.
Then she's a merry Greek indeed.
Nay, I am sure she does. She came to him the other day into the compassed window, and you know that he has not passed 3 or 4 hairs on his chin.
Oh, indeed, a tapster's arithmetic may soon bring his particulars therein to a total.
Why, he is a very young, and yet will he within 3 pounds lift as much as his brother Hector?
Is he so young a man and so old a lifter?
But to prove to you that Helen loves him, she came and she put me to her white hand to his cloven chin.
Oh, Juno, have mercy! How came it cloven?
Why, you know, 'tis dimpled. I think his smiling becomes him better than any men in all of Phrygia.
Oh, he smiles valiantly.
Oh, does he not?
Oh, yes, and 'twere cloud in autumn.
Why, go to then. But to prove to you that Helen loves Troilus.
Well, Troilus will stand to the proof if you'll prove it so.
Troilus, why, he esteems her no more than I esteem an addled egg.
If you love an addle egg as well as you love an idle head, you would eat chickens in the shell.
I cannot choose but to laugh to think how she tickled his chin. Indeed, she has a marvelous white hand, I must needs confess.
Without the rack?
And she takes upon her to spy a white hair on his chin.
Alas, poor chin, many a work is richer.
But there was such laughing. Queen Hecuba laughed that her eyes ran o'er.
Oh, with millstones?
And Cassandra laughed.
But there was a more temperate fire under the pot of her eyes. Did her eyes run o'er too?
And Hector laughed.
At what was all this laughing?
Mary, at the white hair that Helen spied on Troilus's chin.
And it had been a green hair, I should have laughed too.
They laughed not so much at the hair as at his pretty answer.
What was his answer?
Quoth she, here's but 52 hairs on your chin, and one of them is white.
This is her question.
That's true. Make no question of that. 52 hairs, quoth he, and one is white. That white hair is my father, and all the rest are his sons. Jupiter, quoth she, which of these hairs is Paris, my husband? The forked one, quoth he. Pluck it out and give it to him. But there was such laughing, and Helen so blushed, and Paris so chafed, and all the rest so laughed, that it passed.
So let it now, for it has been a great while going by.
Well, cousin, I told you a thing yesterday. Think on't.
So I do.
I'll be sworn it's true. He will weep you, and 'twere a man born in April.
And I'll spring up in his tears, and 'twere a nettle against May.
Hark, I hear them coming from the field. Shall we stand up here and see them as they pass toward Ilium? Good niece, do, sweet niece Cressida.
At your pleasure.
Oh, here's an excellent place. Here we may see most bravely. I'll tell you them all by their names as they pass by, but mark Troilus above the rest.
Speak not so loud.
Oh, that's Aeneas. Is not that a brave man? He's one of the flowers of Troy, I can tell you. But mark Troilus, you shall see anon.
Who's that?
Oh, that's Antenor. He's a shrewd wit, I can tell you, and he's a good man enough. He's one of the soundest judgments in Troy, whosoever, and a proper man of person. Oh, when comes Troilus? I'll show you Troilus anon, and if ye see me, you shall see him nod at me.
Ooh, will he give you the nod?
Whoa, you shall see.
If he do, the rich shall have more.
Oh, there's Hector. Oh, look you that. Oh, there's a fellow. Go thy way, Hector! There's a brave man, niece. Oh, brave Hector! Look how he looks. There's a countenance. It's not a brave man.
Oh, a brave man.
Is he not? Oh, it does a man's heart good. Look, you see hacks are on his helmet. Look you yonder, do you see? Look you there, there's no jesting. There's laying on to take off who will, as they say. There be hacks.
Be those with swords.
Swords, anything. He cares not. And the devil come to him, it's all one. By God's lid, it does one's heart good. Yonder comes Paris. Oh, yonder comes Paris. Look you, yonder, niece. Is it not a gallant man? Is it not? Oh, why, this is brave now. Who said he came hurt today? He's not hurt. Oh, why? This will do Helen's heart good now, huh? Oh, when I could see Troilus. You shall see Troilus anon.
Oh, who's that?
Ooh, oh, now that's Helenus. I marvel where Troilus is. That's Helenus. I think he went not forth today. That's Helenus.
Can Helenus fight, uncle?
Helenus, no. He'll fight indifferent well. I marvel well, where is Troilus? Hark, do you not hear the people cry, Troilus? Oh, Helenus is a priest.
What sneaking fellow comes yonder?
Where? Yonder? Oh, that's Deiphobus. It is, oh, 'tis Troilus. There's a man, niece. Brave Troilus, the prince of chivalry.
Peace, for shame, peace.
Ooh, mark him, note him. Oh, brave Troilus. Oh, look well upon him, niece. Look you how his sword is bloodied and his helm more a hack than Hector's. And how he looks and how he goes. Oh, admirable youth. He ne'er saw 23. Go thy way, Troilus. Go thy way. Had I a sister were a grace, or a daughter a goddess, he should take his choice. An admirable man. Paris is dirt to him, and I warrant Helen to change would give an eye to boot.
Well, here comes more.
Asses, fools, dolts, chaff and brand, porridge after meat. I could live and die in the eyes of Troilus. Ne'er look, the eagles are gone. Crows and daws. I had rather be such a man as Troilus than Agamemnon and all of Greece.
Well, there is amongst the Greeks Achilles, a better man than Troilus.
Achilles, a drayman, a porter, a very camel.
Well.
Why, have you any discretion? Have you any eyes? Do you know what a man is? Is not birth, beauty, good shape, discourse, manhood, learning, gentleness, virtue, youth, liberality, and such like the spice and salt that season a man?
I, a minced man, and then to be baked with no date in the pie, for then the man's date is out.
You are such a woman, a man knows not at what ward you lie.
Upon my back to defend my belly, upon my wit to defend my wiles, upon my secrecy to defend mine honesty, my mask to defend my beauty, and you to defend all these. And at all these wards I lie at 1,000 watches.
Say one of your watches.
Nay, I'll watch you for that, and that's one of the chiefest of them too. If I cannot ward what I would not have hit, I can watch you for telling how I took the blow, unless it's swell past hiding, and then it's past watching.
You're such another.
Sir, my lord would instantly speak with you.
Where?
At your own house. There he unarms him.
Good boy, tell him I come. I doubt he be hurt. Fare you well, niece.
Adieu, uncle.
I will be with you, niece, by and by.
To bring, uncle?
a token from Troilus.
By that same token, you are a bawd. Words, vows, gifts, tears, and love's full sacrifice he offers in another's enterprise. But more in Troilus thousandfold I see than in the glass of Pandar's praise may be. Yet hold I off. Women are angels wooing. Things won are done. Joy's soul lies in the doing. That she beloved knows not, that knows not this. Men prize the thing ungained more than it is. That she was never yet that ever knew love got so sweet as when desire did sue. Therefore this maxim out of love I teach. Achievement is command, ungained beseech. Then though my heart's content from love doth bear, nothing of that shall from mine eyes appear.
Act 1, Scene 3. The Greek camp. Enter Agamemnon, Nestor, Ulysses, and Menelaus.
Princes, what grief hath set the jaundice o'er your cheeks? The ample proposition that hope makes in all designs begun on earth below fails in the promised largeness. Checks and disasters grow in the veins of actions highest reared, as knots by the conflicts of meeting sap infects the sound pine and diverts his grain, tortive and errant from his course of growth. Nor, princes, is it matter new to us that we come short of our suppose so far, that after 7 years' siege, yet Troy walls stand. Sith every action that hath gone before, whereof we have record, trial did draw, bias, and thwart, not answering the aim and that unbodied figure of the thought that gave to surmised shape. Why then, you princes, do you with cheeks abashed behold our works and call them shames, which are indeed naught else but the protractive trials of great Jove to find persistive constancy in men? The fineness of which metal is not found in fortune's love, for then the bold and coward, the wise and fool, the artist and unread, the hard and soft seem all affind and kin. But in the wind and tempest of her frown, distinction, with a broad and powerful fan, puffing it all, winnows the light away, and what hath mass or matter by itself lies rich in virtue and unmingled.
With due observance of thy godlike seat, great Agamemnon, Nestor shall apply thy latest words. In the reproof of chance lies the true proof of men. The sea being smooth, how many shallow bauble boats dare sail upon her patient breast, making their way with those of nobler bulk? But let thy ruffian Boreas once enrage the gentle Thetis, and anon, behold, the strong-ribbed bark through liquid mountains cut, bounding between the two moist elements like Perseus' horse. Where's then the saucy boat whose weak untimbered sides, but even now co-rivaled greatness, either to harbor fled, or made a new toast for Neptune? Even so, doth valor's show and valor's worth divide in storms of fortune? For in her ray and brightness, the herd hath more annoyance by the breeze than by the tiger. When the splitting wind makes flexible the knees of knotted oaks, and flies flee under shade, why then to think of courage, as roused with rage doth sympathize, and with an accent tuned in selfsame key, retorts a chiding fortune.
Agamemnon, thou great commander, nerves and bone of Greece, part of our numbers, sole and only sprite, in whom the tempers and the minds of all should be shut up, hear what Ulysses speaks. Besides the applause and approbation, to which, most mighty for thy place and sway, and thou, most reverend for thy stretched out life, I give to both your speeches, which were such as Agamemnon and the hand of Greece should hold up high in brass, and such again as venerable Nestor, hatched in silver, should with a bond of air strong as the axle tree on which heaven rides, knit all the Greekish ears to his experienced tongue. Yet let it please both, thou great and wise, to hear Ulysses speak.
Speak, Prince of Ithaca, and be it of less aspect the matter needless, of importless burden, divide thy lips, then we are confident when rank Thersites opes his mastic jaws, we shall hear music, wit, and oracle.
Troy yet upon his bases had been down, and the great Hector's sword had lacked a master, but for these instances, the specialty of rule hath been neglected. And look, how many Grecian tents do stand hollow upon this plain, so many hollow factions, when that the general is not like the hive, to whom the foragers shall all repair what honey is expected. Degree being visited, the unworthiest shows as fairly in the mask, the heavens themselves, the planets, and the center observe degree, priority and place, instanture, course, proportion, season, front, office, and custom in all line of order, and therefore is the glorious planet's soul in noble eminence enthroned and sphered amidst the other, whose medicinable eye corrects the influence of evil planets, and posts, like the commandant of a king, on check to good and bad. But when the planets in evil mixture do wander, what plagues and what portents, what mutiny, what raging of the sea, shaking of earth, commotion in the winds, rights, changes, horrors, divert and crack, rend and racinate the unity of merry calm of states quite from their fixture. Oh, when degree is shaped, which is the ladder of all high design, the enterprise is sick. How could communities, degrees in schools, brotherhoods in cities, peaceful commerce from dividable shores, the primogenity and due of birth, prerogative of age, crowns, scepters, laurels, but by degree stand in authentic place. Take but degree away, untune that string, and hark what discord follows. Each thing meets in mere oppugnancy. The bounded waters should lift their bosoms higher than the shores and make a sop of all the solid globe. Strength should be the lord of imbecility, and the rude son should strike his father dead. Force should be right, or rather, right and wrong, between whose endless jar justice resides, should lose their names, and so should justice too. Then everything includes itself in power, power into will, will into appetite, and appetite an universal wolf, so doubly seconded with will and power, must make perforce a universal prey, and last eat up himself, great Agamemnon. This chaos, when degree is suffocate, follows the choking. And this neglection of degree, it is that by a pace goes backward, with a purpose it hath to climb. The generals disdained by him one step below, he by the next, that next by him beneath. So every step, exampled by the first pace that is sick of his superior, grows to an envious fever of pale and bloodless emulation. And 'tis this fever that keeps Troy on foot, not her own sinews. To end a tale of length, Troy in our weakness stands, not in her strength.
Most wisely hath Ulysses here discovered the fever whereof all our power is sick.
The nature of the sickness found, Ulysses, what is the remedy?
The great Achilles, whom opinion crowns the sinew and the forehand of our host, having as full air of his airy frame, grows dainty of his worth, and in his tent lies mocking our designs. With him, Patroclus, Upon a lazy bed, the livelong day breaks scurril jests, and with ridiculous and silly action, which slanderer he imitation calls, he pageants us. Sometime, great Agamemnon, the topless deputation he puts on, and like a strutting player whose conceit lies in his hamstring, and doth think it rich to hear the wooden dialogue and sound twixt his stretched footing and the scaffolding. Such to be pitied and o'er-rested seeming, he acts thy greatness in. And when he speaks, 'tis like a chime amending with terms unsquared, which from the tongue of roaring Typhon dropped, which seem hyperboles. At this fusty stuff, the large Achilles on his pressed bed lolling, from his deep chest laughs out a loud applause, cries, "Excellent! 'Tis Agamemnon right. Now, play me Nestor, hem and stroke thy beard," as he being dressed to some oration. That's done. As near as the extremest ends of parallels, as like a Vulcan and his wife, yet God Achilles still cries, "Excellent! 'Tis Nestor right." Now play him me, Patroclus, arming to answer in a night alarm. And then, forsooth, the faint defects of age must be the scene of mirth. The cough and spit, and with a palsy fumbling on his gorget, shake in and out the rivet. And at this sport, Sir Valor dies and cries, "Oh, enough, Patroclus, give me ribs of steel. I shall split all in pleasure of my spleen." And in this fashion, all our abilities, gifts, natures, shapes, severals and generals of grace exact achievements, plots, orders, preventions, excitements to the field, or speech for truce, success and loss, what is or is not, serves as stuff for these two to make paradoxes.
And in the imitation of these twain, who, as Ulysses says, opinion crowns with an imperial voice, many are infect. Ajax is grown self-willed and bears his head in such a reign, in full as proud a place as broad Achilles, keeps his tent like him, makes factious feasts, rails on our state of war, bold as an oracle, and sets Thersites, a slave whose gall coin slanders like a mint, to match in comparisons with dirt, to weaken and discredit our exposure. How rank so ever rounded in with danger?
They tax our policy and call it cowardice, count wisdom as no member of the war, forestall prescience and esteem no act but that of hand, the still and mental parts of the do contrive. How many hands shall strike when fitness calls them on and knows by measure of their observant toil the enemy's weight? Why, this hath not the finger's destiny. They call this bedwork, mappery, closet war, so that the ram that batters down the wall, for the great swinge and rudeness of his poise, they place before his hand that made the engine, or those that with the fineness of their souls by reason guide his execution.
Let this be granted, and Achilles' horse makes many Thetis sons.
What trumpet? Look, Menelaus.
From Troy.
What would you for our tent?
Is this great Agamemnon's tent, I pray you?
Even this.
May one that is a herald and a prince steal a fair message to his kingly eyes?
Will surety stronger than Achilles' arm for all the Greekish host, which with one voice call Agamemnon head and general.
Fair fair leave and large security, how may a stranger to these most empirical looks know them from eyes of other mortals?
How?
I asked that I might wake in reverence and bid the cheek be ready with a blush, modest as morning when she coldly eyes the youthful Phoebus, which is that god in office guiding men, which is the high and mighty Agamemnon.
Ha! This Trojan scorns us, or the men of Troy are ceremonious courtiers.
Courtiers as free as debonair and armed as bending angels. That's their fame in peace. But when they would seem soldiers, they have Gauls. Good arms, strong joints, true swords, and great Jove's accord. Nothing so full of heart. But peace, Aeneas, peace, Trojan. Lay their finger on thy lips. The worthiness of praise disdains this worth, if that the praised himself brings the praise forth. But what the repining enemy commends, that breath fame blows, that praise so pure transcends.
Sir, you of Troy call you yourself Aeneas.
Aye, Greek, that is my name.
What's your affair, I pray you?
'Tis for Agamemnon's ears.
He hears naught privately that comes from Troy.
Nor I from Troy come not to whisper with him. I bring a trumpet to awake his ear, to set his sense on the attentive bent, and then to speak.
Well, speak frankly as the wind. It is not Agamemnon's sleeping hour. That thou shalt know, Trojan, he is awake. He tells thee so himself.
Trumpet blow, loud. Send thy brass voice through all these lazy tents, and every Greek of metal let him know what Troy means fairly shall be spoke aloud. We have great Agamemnon, here in Troy, a prince called Hector. Priam is his father, who in this dull and long continued truce is resty grown. He bade me take a trumpet and to this purpose speak. Kings, princes, lords, if there be one amongst the fairest of Greece that holds his honor higher than his ease, that seeks his praise more than he fears his peril, that knows his valor and knows not his fear, that loves his mistress more than in confession with foot vows to her own lips he loves, and dare avow her beauty and her worth in other arms than hers, to him this challenge. Hector, in view of Trojans and of Greeks, shall make it good or do his best to do it. He hath a lady wiser, fairer, truer than ever Greek did couple in his arms, and will tomorrow with his trumpet call, midway between your tents and walls of Troy, to rouse a Grecian that is true in love. If any come, Hector shall honor him. If none, he'll say in Troy when he retires, the Grecian dames are sunburnt and not worth the splinter of a lance. Even so much.
This shall be told our lovers, Lord Aeneas. If none of them have a soul in such a kind, we left them all at home. But we are soldiers, and may that soldier a mere recreant prove that means not, hath not, or is not in love. If then one is, or hath, or means to be, that one meets Hector. If none else, I am he.
Tell him of Nestor, that was a man when Hector's grandsire sucked. He is old now, but there be not in our Grecian host a noble man that hath one spark of fire to answer for his love. Tell him from me, I'll hide my silver beard in a golden weaver, and in my vambrace put my withered bronze, and meet him will tell him that my lady was fairer than his grandmam, as chaste as may be in the world. His youth in flood, I'll prove his troth with my 3 drops of blood.
Now heavens forfend such scarcity of youth.
Amen.
Fair Lord Aeneas, let me touch your hand. To our pavilion shall I lead you, sir. Achilles shall have word of this intent. So shall each lord of Greece from tent to tent. Yourself shall feast with us before you go, and find the welcome of a noble foe.
Nestor,
What says Ulysses?
I have a young conception in my brain. Be you my time to bring it to some shape?
What is it?
This is blunt wedges rive hard knots. The seated pride that hath to this maturity blown up in rank Achilles must or now be cropped, or shedding, breed a nursery of like evil to overbulk us all.
Well, and how?
This challenge that the gallant Hector sends, however it is spread in general name, relates in purpose only to Achilles.
True. The purpose is perspicuous as substance whose greatness little characters sum up. And in that publication, make no strain but that Achilles were his brain as barren as the banks of Livia, though Apollo knows 'tis dry enough with great speed of judgment. I with celerity find Hector's purpose pointing on him.
And wake him to the answer, thank you.
Why, 'tis most meet. Who may you else oppose that can come from Hector, his honor off if not Achilles? Though it be a sportful combat, yet in the trial much opinion dwells. For here the Trojans taste in our dearest repute with their finest palate. And trust to me, Ulysses, our imputation shall be oddly poised in this vile action. For the success, although particular, shall give a scantling of good or bad into the general, and in such indexes, although small pricks to their subsequent volumes, there is seen the baby figure of a giant mass of things to come at large. It is supposed that he that meets Hector issues from our choice, and choice, being the mutual act of all our souls, makes merit her election, and doth boil as 'twere force from us. A man distilled out of our virtues, who, miscarrying, what heart receives from hence a conquering part, to steal a strong opinion to themselves, which, entertained, limbs are his instruments. In no less working than swords are bows, directive by his limbs.
Give pardon to my speech, therefore 'tis meet Achilles, meet not Hector. Let us like merchants first show foul wares and think perchance they'll sell. If not, the luster of the better shall exceed by showing the worst first. Do not consent that ever Hector and Achilles meet, for both our honor and our shame in this are dogged with two strange followers.
I see them not with my old eyes. What are they?
What glory our Achilles shares from Hector, were he not proud, we all should share with him. But he already is too insolent. And it were better parch in Afric's son than in his pride and salt scorn of his eyes should he scape Hector fair. If he were foiled, why then we do our main opinion crush and taint of our best man. No, make it a lottery. And by device, let blockish Ajax draw the sword to fight with Hector. Among ourselves, give him allowance for a better man, for that will physic the great Myrmidon, who broils in loud applause, and make him fall his crest, that prouder than blue iris bends. If the dull, brainless Ajax comes safe off, we'll dress him up in voices. If he fail, yet go we under our opinion still that we have the better men. But hit or miss, our project's life this shape of sense assumes. Ajax employed plucks down Achilles' plumes.
Now, Ulysses, I begin to relish thy advice, and I will give a taste thereof with forth to Agamemnon. Go we to him straight. Two curs shall tame each other. Pride alone must tar the mastiffs on as 'twere bone.
Act 2, Scene 1. The Greek camp, before Achilles' tent. Enter Ajax and Thersites.
Thersites!
Agamemnon, how if he had boils full? All over, generally.
Thersites.
Those boils did run. Say so. Did not the general run, then? Ha! Were not that a bocce core?
Dog!
And there would come some matter from him, I see now.
Oh, bitch wolf son, canst thou not hear? Feel that!
Ah! Plague of Greece upon thee, thou mongrel beef-witted lord!
Speak then, thou unsalted leaven, speak! I will beat thee into handsomeness.
I shall sooner rail thee into wit and holiness. But I think thy horse will sooner con an oration than thou learn a prayer without book. Thou canst strike, canst thou? Huh! Red murrain on thy jade's tricks.
Toadstool, learn me the proclamation.
Dost thou think I have no sense, thou strikest me thus?
The proclamation.
Thou art proclaimed a fool, I think.
Do not, Porpentine, do not. My fingers just itch.
I would thou didst itch from head to foot, and I had the scratching of thee. I would make thee the loathsomest scab in Greece. When thou art forth in the incursions, thou strikest as slow as another.
I say, the proclamation.
Oh, thou grumblest and railest every hour on Achilles, and thou art as full of envy at his greatness as Cerberus is at Proserpina's beauty, that thou barkst at him.
Mistress Thersites!
Thou shouldst strikest him.
Cobloaf!
Oh, he would pound thee into shivers with his fist as a sailor breaks a biscuit.
You wholesome cur!
Ah! Oh, do.
Thou stool for a witch!
I do, thou sodden-witted lord. Thou hast no more brain than I have in my elbows. And Asnego may tutor thee, thou scurvy valiant ass. Thou art here but to thrash Trojans, and thou art bought and sold among those of any wit like a barbarian slave. Thou used to beat me, I will begin at thy heel and tell you what thou art by inches, thou thing of no bowels, thou.
You dog!
Scurvy lord!
You cur!
Ah, Mars, his idiot! Do, rudeness, do, camel, do!
Why, how now, Ajax? Wherefore do you thus? How now, Thersites? What's the matter, man?
You see him there, do you?
Aye, what's the matter?
Nay, look upon him.
So I did. What's the matter?
Nay, but regard him well.
Well, why, so I did.
But yet you look not well upon him, for whomsoever you take him to be, he is Ajax.
I know that, fool.
Aye, but that fool knows not himself.
Therefore I beat thee.
Lo! What modicums of wit he utters! His evasions have ears thus long. I bobbed his brain more than he has beat my bones. I will buy 9 sparrows for a penny, and his Piamater is not worth the 9th part of a sparrow. This lord, Achilles, Ajax, who wears his wit in his belly and his guts in his head, I'll tell you what I say of him.
What?
I say this, Ajax.
Nay, good Ajax.
Has not so much wit.
Nay, I must hold you.
As will stop the eye of Helen's needle, for whom he comes to fight.
Oh, peace, fool.
I would have peace and quietness, but the fool will not. He there, that he, look you there.
Oh, thou damned cur! I shall.
Will you set your wit to a fool's?
No, I warrant you, the fools will shame it.
Good words, Thersites.
Well, what's the quarrel?
I bade the vile owl go lean me, earn me a tenor of the proclamation, and he rails upon me.
I serve thee not.
Well, go to.
I serve here voluntary.
Your last service was sufferance. 'Twas not voluntary. No man is beaten voluntary. Ajax was here the voluntary, and you as under an impress.
E'en so. A great deal of your wit too lies in your sinews, or else there be liars. Hector shall have a great catch, and he knock out either ye brains. He were as good crack a fusty nut with no kernel.
What, with me too, Thersites?
Oh, there's Ulysses and old Nestor, whose wit was moldy ere your grandsires had nails on their toes, yoke you like draft oxen and make you plow up the wars.
What? What?
But yes, good sooth. But two Achilles, two Ajax,
I shall cut out your tongue.
Oh, 'tis no matter. I shall speak as much as thou afterwards.
No more words, Thersites. Peace.
I will hold my peace when Achilles Brock bids me, shall I?
There for you, Patroclus.
I will see you hanged like clodpoles ere I come any more to your tents. I will keep where there is wit stirring and leave this faction of fools.
A good riddance.
Marry, this, sir, is proclaimed throughout all our hosts, that Hector, by the 5th hour of the sun, will with a trumpet twixt our tents and Troy tomorrow morning call some knight to arms that hath a stomach, and such one that dare maintain, I know not what, 'tis trash. Farewell.
Farewell. Who shall answer him?
I know not. 'Tis put to lottery. Otherwise, he knew his man.
Oh, meaning you. I will go learn more of it.
Act 2, Scene 2. Troy, the palace, and to Priam, Hector, Troilus, Paris, and Helenus.
After so many hours, lives, speeches spent, thus once again says Nestor from the Greeks, deliver Helen, and all damage else, as honor, loss of time, travel, expense, wounds, friends, and what else dear that is consumed in hot digestion of this cormorant war shall be struck off. Hector, what say you to it?
Though no lesser man fears the Greeks than I, as far as toucheth my particular, yet, dread Priam, there is no lady of more softer bowels, more spongy to suck out the sense of fear, more ready to cry out, who knows what follows, than Hector is. The wounds of peace is surety secure, but the modest doubt is called the beacon of the wise, the tent that searches to the bottom of the worst. Let Helen go. Since the first sword was drawn about this question, every tithe soul mongst many thousand dismas has been as dear as Helen. I mean of ours. If we have lost so many a tenth of ours to guard a thing not ours, nor worth to us, had it our name the value of 1/10, what merits in that reason which denies the yielding of her up?
Fie, my brother, weigh you the worth and honor of a king so great as our dread fathers in a scale of common ounces? Will you with counters sum the past proportion of his infinite, and buckle in a waist most fathomless with spans and inches so diminutive as fears and reasons? Fie, for godly shame.
marvel, though, you bite so sharp at reasons. You are so empty of them. Should not our father bear the great sway of his affairs with reason? Because your speech hath none to tell him so.
You are for dreams and slumbers, brother priest. You fur your gloves with reason. Here are your reasons. You know an enemy intends you harm. You know a sword employed is perilous, and reason flies the object of all harm. Who marvels then, when Helenus beholds a Grecian and his sword, if he do set the very wings of reason to his heels, and fly like chidden Mercury from Jove, or like a star disorbed? Nay, if we talk of reason, let's shut our gates and sleep. Manhood and honor should have hare hearts, would they but fat their thoughts with this crammed reason. Reason and respect make livers pale and lustihood deject.
Brother, she is not worth what she doth cost the keeping.
What's aught but as 'tis valued?
But values dwells not in particular will. It holds his estimate and dignity as well wherein 'tis precious of itself as in the prizer. 'Tis mad idolatry to make this service greater than the god, and the will dotes that is attributive to what infectiously itself affects without some image of the affected merit.
I take today a wife, and my election is led on in the conduct of my will. My will enkindled by mine eyes and ears, two traded pilots twixt the dangerous shores of will and judgment. How may I avoid, although my will distaste what it elected, the wife I choose? There can be no evasion to blench from this and to stand firm by honor. We turn not back the silks upon the merchant when we have soiled them, nor the remainder viands we do not throw in unrespective sieve because we now are full. It was thought meet Paris should do some vengeance on the Greeks. Your breath with full consent bellied his sails. The seas and winds, old wranglers, took a truce and did him service. He touched the ports desired. For an old aunt whom the Greeks held captive, he brought a Grecian queen, whose youth and freshness wrinkles Apollo's and makes pale the morning. Why keep we her? The Grecians keep our aunt. Is she worth keeping? Why, she is a pearl whose price hath launched above 1,000 ships and turned crowned kings to merchants. If you'll avouch 'twas wisdom Paris went, and you must needs, for all cry, go, go! If you'll confess he brought home worthy prize, as you must needs, for you all clapped your hands and cried, inestimable. Why do you now, the issue of your proper wisdom's rate, and do a deed that never fortune did, beggar the estimation which you prized richer than sea and land? Oh, theft, most base! That we have stolen what we do fear to keep. But thieves unworthy of a thing so stolen, that in their country did them that disgrace, we fear to warrant in our native place.
Cry, Trojans, cry!
What noise, what shriek is this?
'Tis our mad sister, I do know her voice.
Cry, Trojans!
It is Cassandra.
Cry, Trojans, cry! Lend me 10,000 eyes and fill them with prophetic tears.
Peace, sister, peace.
Virgins and boys, middle-aged and wrinkled elders, soft infancy, that nothing canst but cry, add to my clamors. Let us pay betimes a moiety of that mass of moan to come. Cry, Trojans, cry. Practice your eyes with tears. Troy must not be, nor godly Ilium stand. Our firebrand brother Paris burns us all. Cry, Trojans, cry, a Helen and woe. Cry, cry, Troy burns, or else let Helen go.
Now, youthful Troilus, do not these high strains of divination in our sister work some touches of remorse? Or is your blood so madly hot that no discourse of reason nor fear of bad success in a bad cause can qualify the same?
Why, brother Hector, we may not think the justness of each act such and no other than event doth form it, nor once deject the courage of our minds because Cassandra's mad. Her brain-sick raptures cannot distaste the goodness of a quarrel which hath our several honors all engaged to make it gracious. For my private part, I am no more touched than all Priam's sons. And Jove forbid there should be done amongst us such things as might offend the weakest spleen to fight for and maintain.
Else might the world convince of levity as well my undertakings as your counsels. But I test the gods. Your full consent gave wings to my propension, and cut off all fears attending on so dire a project. For what, alas, can these my single arms? What propugnation is one man's valor to stand the push and enmity of those this quarrel would excite? Yet, I protest, were I alone to pass the difficulties, and had as ample power as I will, Paris should ne'er retract what he hath done, nor faint in the pursuit.
Paris, you speak like one besotted on your sweet delights. You have the honey still, but these the gall. So to be valiant is no praise at all.
Sir, I propose not merely to myself the pleasures such a beauty brings with it, but I would have the soil of her fair rape wiped off in honorable keeping her. What treason were it to the ransacked queen, disgrace to your great worths, and shame to me, now to deliver her possession up on terms of base compulsion? Can it be that so degenerate a strain as this should once set footing in your generous bosoms? There's not the meanest spirit on our party without a heart to dare or sword to draw when Helen is defended, nor none so noble whose life were ill bestowed or death unfamed where Helen is the subject. Then I say, well may we fight for her, whom we know well the world's largest spaces cannot parallel.
Paris and Troilus, you have both said well, and on the cause in question now in hand have glozed, but superficially, not much unlike young men, whom Aristotle thought unfit to hear moral philosophy. The reasons you allege do more conduce to the hot passion of distempered blood than make up a free determination twixt right and wrong. For pleasure and revenge have ears more deaf than adders to the voice of any true decision. Nature craves all due to be rendered to their owners. Now, what nearer debt in all humanity than a wife is to the husband? If this law of nature be corrupted through affection, and that great minds of partial indulgence to their benumbed wills resist the same. There is a law in each well-ordered nation to curb those raging appetites that are most disobedient and refractory. If Helen, then, be wife to Sparta's king, as it known she is, these moral laws of nature and of nations speak aloud to have her back returned. Thus to persist in doing wrong extenuates not wrong, but makes it much more heavy. Hector's opinion in this, in way of truth, yet nevertheless, my sprightly brethren, I propend to you in resolution to keep Helen still, for 'tis a cause that hath no mean dependence upon our joint and several dignities.
Why, there you touch the life of our design. Were it not glory that we more affected than the performance of our heaving spleens, I would not wish a drop of Trojan blood spent more in her defense. But, worthy Hector, she is a theme of honor and renown, a spur to valiant and magnanimous deeds, whose present courage may beat down our foes, and fame in time to come canonize us. For I presume brave Hector would not lose so rich advantage of a promised glory as smiles upon the forehead of this action for the wide world's revenue.
I am yours. You valiant offspring of great Priamus, I have a roisting challenge sent amongst the dull and factious nobles of the Greeks. Will strike amazement to their drowsy spirits. I was advertised that their great general slept, whilst emulation in the army crept. This, I presume, will wake him.
Act 2, Scene 3. The Greek camp, before Achilles' tent. Enter Thersites. Oh, now Thersites, what, lost in the labyrinth of thy fury? Shall the elephant, Ajax, carry it thus? He beats me, and I rail at him. Worthy satisfaction. Would it were otherwise, that I could beat him whilst he railed at me? I'll learn to conjure and raise devils, but I'll see some issue of my spiteful execrations. Oh, and then there's Achilles, a rare engineer. If Troy be not taken till these two undermine it, the walls will stand till they fall of themselves. O thou great thunder darter of Olympus, forget that thou art Jove, the king of gods, and Mercury, lose all the serpentine craft of thy caduceus, if thou take not that little less than little wit from them that they have, which short-armed ignorance itself knows is so abundant scarce, it will not in circumvention deliver a fly from a spider without drawing their massy irons and cutting a web. After this, the vengeance on the whole camp. Rather, the Neapolitan bone ache. For that, methinks, is the curse depending on those that war for a placket. I've said my prayers, and the devil envy say amen. What ho! My Lord Achilles!
Who's there? Oh, Thersites, good Thersites, come in and rail.
If I could have remembered a gilt counterfeit, that couldst not have slipped out of my contemplation. But it is no matter. Thyself upon thyself, the common curse of mankind, folly and ignorance be thine in great revenue. Heaven bless thee from a tutor, and discipline come not near thee. Let thy blood be thy direction till thy death. Then if she that lays thee out says thou art a fair course, I'll be sworn upon she never shrouded any but Lazarus. Amen. Where's Achilles?
What? Art thou devout? Wast thou in prayer?
Aye, the heavens hear me.
Amen.
Who's there?
Thersites, my lord.
Oh, where? Oh, where? Oh, where? Art thou come? Why, my cheese, my digestion, why hast thou not served thyself into my table in so many meals? Come, what's Agamemnon?
Thy commander, Achilles. Then tell me, Patroclus, what's Achilles?
Thy lord, Thersites. Then tell me, I pray thee, what's Thersites?
Thy knower, Patroclus. Then tell me, Patroclus, what art thou?
Thou must tell that thou knowest.
Oh, tell.
Oh, I'll decline the whole question. Agamemnon commands Achilles. Achilles is my lord. I am Patroclus knower, and Patroclus is a fool.
Oh, you rascal.
He's fool, I've not done.
He is a privileged man. Proceed, Thersites.
Agamemnon is a fool, Achilles is a fool, Thersites is a fool, and, as aforesaid, Patroclus is a fool.
Derive this, come.
Agamemnon is a fool to offer to command Achilles. Achilles is a fool to be commanded of Agamemnon. Thersites is a fool to serve such a fool. And this Patroclus is a fool positive.
Why am I a fool?
Make that demand of the Creator. It suffices me thou art. Look you, who comes here?
Patroclus, I'll speak with nobody. Come in with me, Thersites.
Here's such a patchery, such juggling and such knavery. All the argument is a whore and a cuckold. A quarrel to draw emulous factions and bleed to death upon. Another dry serpigo on the subject, and war and lechery confound all.
Where is Achilles?
Within his tent, but ill-disposed, my lord.
Let it be known to him that we are here. He sent our messengers, and we lay by our appertainments, visiting of him. Let him be told so, lest perchance he think we dare not move the question of our place, or know not what we are.
I shall say so to him.
We saw him at the opening of his tent. He is not sick.
Yes, blind sick, sick of proud heart. You may call it melancholy if you will favor the man, but my head, 'tis pride. But why? Why? Let him show us a cause. A word, my lord.
Moves Ajax thus to bay at him.
Achilles hath inveigled his fool from him.
Who? Thersites?
He.
Then will Ajax lack matter if he hath lost his argument?
No. You see, he is his argument that has his argument. Achilles.
All the better. Their fraction is more our wish than their faction. But it was a strong composure a fool could disunite.
The amity that wisdom knits not, folly may easily untie. Here comes Patroclus.
No Achilles with him.
The elephant hath joints, but none for courtesy. His legs are legs for necessity, not for flexure.
Achilles bids me say he's much sorry, if anything more, than your sport and pleasure did move your greatness and this noble state to call upon him. He hopes it is no other but for your health and your digestion's sake, and after dinner's breath.
Hear you, Patroclus. We are too well acquainted with these answers, but his evasion, winged thus swift with scorn, cannot outfly our apprehensions. Much attribute he hath, and much the reason why we ascribe it to him. Yet all his virtues, not virtuously on his own part beheld, do in our eyes begin to lose their gloss. Yea, and like fair fruit in an unwholesome dish, are like to rot, untasted. Go and tell him we come to speak with him, and you shall not sin if you do say we think him overproud and under-honest, in self-assumption greater than in the note of judgment, and worthier than himself. Here tend the savage strangeness he puts on, disguise the holy strength of their command, and underwrite, in observing kind, his humorous predominance. Yea, watch his course and time, his ebbs and flows, as if the passage and whole carriage of this action rode on his tide. Go tell him this, and add that, if he overhold his price so much, we'll none of him. But let him, like an engine, not portable, lie under this report. Bring action hither, this cannot go to war. A stirring dwarf we do allowance give before a sleeping giant. Tell him so.
I shall, and bring his answer present.
In second voice, we'll not be satisfied. We come to speak with him. Ulysses, enter.
What is he more than another?
No more than what he thinks he is.
Is he so much? Do you think he thinks himself a better man than you?
No question.
Will you subscribe as thought as he says he is?
No, noble Ajax. You are as strong, as valiant, as wise, no less noble, much more gentle, and altogether more tractable.
Why should a man be proud? How doth pride grow? I know not what pride is.
Your mind is the clearer, Ajax, and your virtues the fairer. He that is proud eats up himself. Pride is his own glass, his own trumpet, his own chronicle, and whatever praises itself but in the deed, devours the deed in the praise.
I do hate a proud man as I hate the endangering of toads.
Yet he loves himself. It's not strange.
Achilles will not to the field tomorrow.
What's his excuse?
He doth rely on none, but carries on the stream of his dispose, without observance or respect of any, in will peculiar and in self-admiration.
Why will he not, upon our fair request, untent his person and share the air with us?
Things small as nothing. For request's sake only he makes important. Possessed he is with greatness, and speaks not to himself but with a pride that quarrels at self-breath. Imagined worth holds in his blood such swollen and hot discourse that twixt his mental and his active parts, Kingdom Achilles in commotion rages and batters down himself. What should I say? He is so plaguey proud that the death tokens of it cry no recovery.
Let Ajax go to him. Dear lord, go you and greet him in his tent. 'Tis said he holds you well, and will be led at your request a little from himself.
Oh, Agamemnon, let it be not so. Will consecrate the steps that Ajax makes when they go from Achilles. Shall the proud lord that based his arrogance with his own seam and never suffers matter the world enter his thoughts, save such of doth revolve and ruminate himself? Shall he be worshipped? Of that we hold an idol more than he? No! This thrice-worthy and right valiant lord shall not so stale his palm, nobly acquired, nor by my will subjugate his merit, as amply titled as Achilles is by going to Achilles. That were to enlard his fat already pride and add more coals to cancer when he burns, with entertaining great Hyperion. This lord go to him? Jupiter forbid, and say in thunder, Achilles go to him.
Oh, this is well. He rubs the vein of him.
And how his silence drinks of this applause.
If I go to him with my armed fist, I'll pass him over the face.
Oh, no, you shall not go.
And be proud with me, I'll feeze his pride. Let me go to him.
Not for the worth that hangs upon our quarrel.
A paltry, insolent fellow.
How he describes himself.
Can he not be sociable?
The raven chides blackness.
Oh, let his humor humorous blood.
He will be the physician that should be the patient.
And all men were of my mind.
Wit would be out of fashion.
He should not bear itself. He should eat swords first. Shall pride carry it?
And 'twould you'd carry half.
He would have 10 shares.
I will need him. I'll make him supple.
He's not yet through warm. Force him with praises. Pour in, pour in. His ambition is dry.
My lord, you feed too much on this dislike.
Our noble general, do not so.
You must prepare to fight with Achilles.
Why, 'tis the naming of him does him harm. Here is a man, but 'tis before his face. I will be silent.
Wherefore should you so? He is not emulous as Achilles is.
Know the whole world, he is as valiant.
A horse and dog that shall palter with us thus. Oh, would he were a Trojan.
What a vice were in it Ajax now.
If he were proud.
Or covetous of praise.
Aye, or surly born.
Or strange, or self-affected.
Thank the heavens, Lord, thou art of sweet composure. Praise him that got thee, she that gave thee suck. Oh, mwah, famed be thy tutor, and thy parts of nature thrice famed beyond thy erudition. But he that disciplined thine arms to fight, let Mars divide eternity in twain and give him half for thy vigor. Bull-bearing Milo his addition yield to sinewy Ajax. I will not praise thy wisdom, which like a bourne, a pale, a shore confines thy spacious and dilated parts. Here's Nestor, instructed by the antiquary times. He cannot but be wise. But pardon, Father Nestor, were your days as green as Ajax and your brain so tempered, you should not have the eminence of him, but be as Ajax.
Shall I call your father?
Aye, my good son.
Be ruled by him, Lord Ajax.
There is no tarrying here. The heart Achilles keeps thicket. Please it to our great general to call together all his state of war. Fresh kings are come to Troy. Tomorrow we must, with all our main of power, stand fast. And here's a lord. Come knights from east to west and cull their flower. Ajax shall cope the best.
Go we to council, let Achilles sleep. Light boats sail swift, the greater hulks draw deep.